Zookeepers, what's up and welcome to Season 5 of the Feenstra Zoo. 5 seasons, how insane is that? This season we'll actually be hitting several milestones if we're lucky, if everything keeps working the way it's supposed to. But before we talk about the future, I want to talk a little bit about the past. With this being the first episode of the new season and the new year, I'm sorry it's taken so long. I think looking back, the theme of 2023, probably patience and perseverance, and maybe a little dash of you're never too old to learn. Let me explain a little bit. Alright, so back in April, you guys know I started a new career. It's industrial wholesale outside sales. So this has been a crazy ride. There's so much product knowledge to learn, but more than learning about the stuff, it was learning how to rebalance life and work and family. And I mean, that's why I ended up taking a hiatus. It was just so much to take on. And just when we got everything figured out, or at least it felt like we got everything figured out, our house literally fell apart. At the end of September, the unit above our townhouse had a hot water tank blow, and it leaked for like 3 days into our ceiling and walls. 2 of our walls and a large section of our ceiling, it all fell down. So, I mean, as of recording this, we finally have had contractors into our home, and we have walls and a ceiling, and everything's painted again. The job is not done yet, but at least there's been huge progress. I mean, we saw emergency crews right away, but there was a huge gap between when the emergency crews were here and when we actually saw some progress towards fixing our home. So that plays a huge portion into this year's patience part of learning. And the other half is just like figuring out how to be okay with waiting. There's a whole lot to unpack there, and I promise this season I will be unpacking the skill of waiting, or the art of waiting. I don't know. We'll unpack it. We'll dive into it. It'll be a good time. But just like I said, just like learning how to be okay with it was so difficult for me. Fixing our home, these are skills that I have, so not being able to jump in and fix things right away, it was very tough for me and my personality. And living in a construction zone is no small joke either. You people who have gone through home renovations or home disaster areas or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. It's like living with scaffolding, living with, plastic up separating parts of our houses, not being able to use parts of our house properly. It was a very difficult process for me. Some other big moments of 2023 were nothing. Just kidding. Of course, I took a big break through the summer from podcasting, and we learned just how to be a family again. It was restful and rejuvenating and just like recentering. It was a really, really good time. And of course we had birthdays and Christmas. I mean, this Christmas was fantastic. It was super low key. Everything was just really just about spending time, good quality time with my family. It was so nice. I think the best part of 2023 was all the memories I got to make with our girls. I learned how to skateboard again so I could teach them how to skateboard. Santa brought our oldest daughter a big Nerf gun set, so we've had Nerf wars. We've been to the aquarium in Vancouver. We've done a couple museum trips. We just got to make such good memories this year. But as we know, there's 2 sides to every coin. No one can have a 100% good year. But instead of saying what sucked or what was difficult or anything like that, I'm going to go with what have we learned this year? Honestly, it's been a really good year, so I don't want to undersell that. That being said, a big lesson that I've had to learn over this past year is just how to live in the moment. Just how to be open and active with each interaction that I've had. And of course, we know this is important from forever, but it's been eye-opening for me this year. Like with the career change from travel agent to outside salesman, there's just been so many just like day-to-day work interactions that I've just had to realize how to be so much more present for, and how to be interactive, not just reactive, in my career life. Not to mention the ongoing practice of how to be a good father and an attentive and intentional father and an attentive and intentional husband. Like learning how to refocus and re-interact with my daughters and my wife every day is just ongoing, never-ending, super rewarding skill. And of course, as you guys know, there's been strenuous demands of my time and attention, so learning how to be in the moment has been so important. So when I'm home, the challenge is just not to get lost in my phone doom scrolling, or to get lost in my work. I mean, I could very easily come home from my job and put in another 4 or 5 hours of prep time for the next day. So when I get home, it's just learning how to be attentive in my home. Learning how to give Shalane and the girls the best parts of me. But enough of the past. What are we looking forward to in 2024? Big thing is it's Shalane and I's 10-year anniversary this year. So we are going to celebrate by another princess cruise going back to Alaska in July. We had such an amazing time on our last trip up there, and we just can't wait to go back. We're so excited. In podcast news, this season we're going to hit some big milestones. So we'll hit the 100 episodes this season. It's going to be later this season. I still haven't come up with a plan or idea of how to celebrate that properly. So if anyone has any ideas, any topics, anything they want to see, hit me up on any social media platform. That I'm open to pretty much anything. I want to celebrate big. It's a huge milestone. Sneak peek of what's coming this season. We're going to be talking about things that steal intimacy in your relationship. We're going to be talking about things that we get to be passionate about. Conversely, the importance of praying together with your partner. And I'm going to be revisiting the Limitations series. I've gotten some requests on diving back into that, going deeper on some ideas. But I do have a confession to make. Season 5 almost didn't happen. The zoo almost didn't come back for this season. I've had several conversations with Shalane about it, and the time commitment, I mean, it's so much. The other thing is, I've talked about a lot of stuff on here, and I almost felt like I was done. I didn't have much more to say. So it went back and forth. Do I hang it up? Is it enough? Have I said enough? And it all boiled down to, how do we continue with the zoo? Now, obviously, I did make the choice to come back, but it almost didn't happen. It really boiled down to the sole idea that this isn't just another podcast. This is a ministry. This is a way that I can reach out, a way that my voice can be heard, And it's just a good message on platforms that are just filled with a lot of nonsense. I also just really enjoy this platform. I really enjoy podcasting. I want it to be successful. That's never changed. But I had to refocus my metrics for success. I had to refocus what it meant for this to be not just me speaking to a computer screen. I want this to mean something more than just Spencer's getting stuff off his chest. So I really hope that as we continue, you guys engage more, make this more of a conversation than, me just preaching for 20 minutes every other week. I want this to be helpful. I want this to be entertaining, but I want it to be more than that. So we're going to give this season 5, we're going to go hard, we're going to do our best to make this as successful as possible, get it to as many people as possible, and see if I can make we can make some real change, make some waves in the podcast world. But what are my metrics for success on here? I'm not expecting to make $1 million every year. I'm not expecting to, have 100 million views on each episode. But my metric for success is going to be who's talking back to me. I mention it every episode. Guys, reach out, hit me up on social media. It's not just a shtick. It's not just, hey, I want better engagement, whatever. I'm not going to make $1 million off this. I don't care. But what I want is, did that spark a meaningful conversation? Did someone reach out and go, hey, you said this and, I've been stewing about it for a couple of weeks, or you said this and I want more clarification, or hey, can you revisit this episode? I think you could have said more, or here's my 2 cents on it. I just want to make this a real, just real conversation about these topics, because every episode means something to me. Every episode was sparked by either a conversation I've had in person or online, or thoughts that I've been stewing on. That this isn't just me trying to get attention. This is me saying stuff that I'm passionate about, that I have, each episode I sink hours into researching, finding the right quotes, reading the right books. And I wouldn't do it if this was just, me throwing words into the ether. If I wanted to spew an hour every other week on nonsense, I'd talk about aliens or Bigfoot or something. These are topics that I really care about. So my metric for success is, did this spark a conversation? But before I wrap up this episode, I know it's probably not what you were expecting late in January, but before I wrap it up here, I just want to leave you with this thought. As we start this new year, I want you to define for yourself what success looks like to you. What does success mean for you this year? Because your success will look different than mine, or anyone else's for that matter. Is it something, as simple for someone else going, my mattress isn't on the floor anymore. I got a real bed frame and it's off the floor. That's success. Celebrate that. Or is it something as complex as becoming a homeowner or a best-selling author or whatever? Define it for yourself. What does success mean to you? You don't have to share it with me. You don't have to do anything like that. This is personal, you know? But I want you to think about it. I want you to dive into it. Whatever it is, just define success for you. Anyway, that's going to be it for this week. I'm sorry it's a shorter episode. It's not what we were expecting. I've had some crazy computer troubles this month. It's been difficult to get this focused properly. But I promise some good episodes are coming down the pipe, so please stay tuned to the Feenstra Zoo. There's going to be some really, really good stuff this year. You know, as always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless.